the town name might not be as interesting as Sparks, but the horses will definitely be let out into the wild, and I'll see myself out. As hello everyone, welcome here to round number 8 of the 2020A Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross Challenge. We're at the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona. It's Josh Mertz bringing you the call, as always, for the Automotive Sports Network. You'll see we're gridded up. We're going to make this fairly quick, as the format has not changed. Point standings coming into today's race in Wild Horse. 8-point lead over Matt Hartley has over Magnus Okenhog. No Jake Robertson again this week, so the top two in the championship are slowly eking their lead away. Kingsbury, Dipple, Kraus, Kingsbury, Mertz, Harberts, and Aish. Top 10 in points. As you might wonder, what Simracer Coin is, it's the presenting sponsor of the NASA RallyCross Challenge and the presenting sponsor of the Automotive Sports Network. It's a cryptocurrency, and like I've said for the last 3 weeks, and hopefully Miguel Gomez isn't too upset at me, we could bore you with cryptocurrency details all day long, but go to simracercoin.org for all of that information. As we're about to take the start here in Wild Horse. Jacob Harberts, Josh Mertz, John Dipple, Daniel McDonald, and Doug Denice. 6 laps, and the top 2 will transfer, and this track very tricky as the start is over a jump. Green flag. Off the line, Harberts and Mertz, but Mertz off the road again at the start of the race, and he's had trouble all throughout practice, and we'll send him to the back. Harberts, Dipple, McDonald, Denice, the top 5. Top 4 rather, excuse me there. Over the jump through turn 2. Harberts holds the inside over Dipple. The Subaru V Ford LRL versus the Morgan Kelly Harberts law firm. Bowl corner, final corner. John Dipple looks like he'll try and take the lead at the end of the first lap. Remember, no joker laps here in Wild Horse. And from high above, still side by side, are the American and the British driver. Through turn 2, very tricky to get right, and his teammate, Daniel McDonald, in the 95, right behind him. Mertz has gotten by Denice for the 4th position. Harberts pushes it out wide, contact nearly between them through turn 3. Let's ride on board. Car number 34. Right to the action from high above once again. Mertz is closing in on this battle. Harbert's still second. Remember, the top 2 will transfer. Mertz and McDonald side by side through the final sweeper, and Mertz comes to 3rd. Cross flags. Now car number 2, just like last week, one of the faster cars here. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can take the fight to Harberts and Dipple. Remember, wisdom teeth were pulled out last week. No pain meds this week, so the 2 is back on pace in the Subaru program. Of course, showing why it's one of the best. So we have the final 2 weeks of the Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross Challenge in 2020A. And remember, this is the last race for the Endurance Cup. There was last week at Wild West, and this week here in Wild Horse. And I tell you that these tracks obviously are not designed for these rallycross, but these NASA rallycross competitors certainly making a great show, as it's very hard to get it right on this track. Harberts runs it wide, so does Mertz. Mertz trying so hard to get the transfer spot back, but I don't think he'll be able to get it done. We'll take a look at the delta. It is shrinking considerably. It was 3.5 seconds on lap 2. Now it's 1.5. Car number 2, I think he's going to run out of time. White flag for Dipple. In the 34, Harbert's in second, Mertz in third. So we'll pay attention to these two. Dipple clipped the berm there on the inside of the corner. The gap is now a second, and Mertz is trying really hard. McDonald in fourth, DeNice in the fifth position. Running it wide in the second spot, or the second corner rather, is car number 2, trying to get that second position. Harbert's and Dipple battling again. I don't think he's gonna get there. Through the final corner. Dipple and Harbert's will transfer through to the main event here in Arizona. Mertz, McDonald, and DeNice will go to the LCQ. So we get confirmation of those Heat 1 results. Dipple, Harbert's, Mertz, McDonald, and DeNice. As we grid up for Heat number 2 now, here in Arizona. Austin Derbyshire will get Magnus Okenhog, Cohen Attard. And we wait for the remaining few cars to grid. And it's interesting that that barrier's put there, the Rockstar banner on the left-hand side there. That's what caught out car number 2. We also have car number 51, Dylan Livengood, who is in a Subaru WRX this week, as the Revolution Racing program apparently has scrapped the Fords. Not really sure why, but we roll. And we get ready for Heat number 2. As we want to remind you of the point standings, as we had our quick opener there, didn't have a lot of time. Hartley, Okenhog, that is our points battle. 8 points is the difference between Hartley and Okenhog. That is how crucial it is to make the final. And Magnus really kicking himself after last week. Go down through 18th. We take a look at the rest of the field. 34 drivers have taken part in at least one race this season, so certainly great to see in the Simracer Coin NASA RallyCross Challenge. Pace truck is off. We round turn 4. Let's see when the green flag waves, as they do not take the jump this time before the green waves, and Okenhog leads us. Attard side by side with Derbyshire and Livengood in the back. Second place man in points gets through the corner all right, hits the berm there on the left hand or the right hand side, his right hand side, and pushes it wide into turn number 2. Derbyshire, the Canadian, against the Norwegian, over the jump, exiting turn 2 into the third corner. The Subarus, granted there are all 4 of them in this race, but it's certainly difficult to get the line right through the whoops. Attard is around in with Livengood, and they're both making contact with each other. That might actually seal the fate in Heat number 2 at the end of the first lap. Okenhog leads us. Through turn 1, it's 7/10 of a second from Okenhog to Derbyshire. And it's so tricky to get this line right, because if you make one mistake, you can find yourself off the road or into a wall, and it's a terrible time. A lot of these guys are kind of avoiding the whoops, but a lot of them, it's half and half really, and the NASA RallyCross Challenge did approve for open setups. Previously, they'd all issue one setup to each manufacturer, and you'd have to run that, but everyone can tweak their setups to their liking, so the LRL cars run through the whoops a little bit better, and the MRT cars are stiffer. We'll notice that, for example, when Philip Krause is on track. It's a 10-second gap between Derbyshire and Attard, as those guys from 3rd and 4th were having issues of their own. As Livengood in the 51, I'm hearing reports he ended up in the tire barrier in turn 1. So that is not good for the former 4-time champion of the series. Remember, 13-time race winner in the NASA RallyCross Challenge, but it has been 5 years since the Canadian has stood on top of the podium in NASA RallyCross competition. Cross flags in Arizona. And next week, it's not going to be too far. We're going to go up I-10 over to Avondale in the Phoenix International Raceway as we get closer to winding this championship up in the following week at the Sonoma Raceway in California. So, of course, tune in on the Automotive Sports Network. We'll have those shows accordingly before we go live for the 2020 B season. And keep your eyes on the Discord server. The link is always on the main graphic. Put it in the description of the broadcast so you will be able to join us if you'd like in 2020B. Oakenhog 2-second difference to Derbyshire. And a Tard 10.5 back from Derbyshire. So unless something catastrophically goes wrong, there's Living Good, who is exiting the pit lane in the 51. Looks like he was getting service on that car as he got towed back to the pit lane. So we don't typically see pit stops anymore in the NASA RallyCross Challenge. We used to have at the Croft Circuit in England a mandatory 4-tire pit stop, and those are a thing of the past. The rumor is, though, this is a rumor, that Croft may come to the iRacing service soon. So we might have a return to Great Britain in the NASA RallyCross Challenge. But for right now, Magnus Oakenhog is going to guarantee himself that he will not lose points to Hartley this week. He wins Heat 2 ahead of Derbyshire, Tard, and Livigood in Heat number 2. As we begin gridding for Heat number 3 here in Arizona. And it's a last lap motorsports affair. Spark VR last lap motorsports, I should say. Ray Kingsbury, Matt Kingsbury, last week's winner. Brandon Lambert, and then the privateer, Great Lakes Motorsports Ford Fiesta of Tristan Hagenstein. So the Dutchman making his second start of the season. As we begin to roll in Arizona. This is going to be a great battle between the brothers. We know that these guys are stupid fast. We know that they always kind of crash into each other at one point or another, or they want to, or they're yelling at each other. It's really a good time. Brandon Lambert in the 46, Hagenstein in the 27. So it's an all-Ford heat race after a couple heat races with all Subarus last heat race. Mostly Subarus in Heat number 1. Remember, no Volkswagens, I don't believe, this week in NASA. It's all Fords, and it's all Subarus, so not many people wanting to take the Beetle in competition. So we'll have to see if that changes, because the Beetle is one of the fastest cars in the World Championship ranks. Pace truck is off. The Kingsburys will lead us down to the green flag in Heat number 3. Over the jump, Lambert comes across into Hagenstein and the Dutchman into the wall, and his race is run before it even begins. Literally, he didn't cross the start-finish line. Ray next to Matt into turn number 2. Which brother will budge? Side by side through the corner. Matt runs it a little bit wide to get the run over Ray, over the jump exiting turn 2, and they're going to try a switchback again. Into turn 3. Matt has the run on the outside, can't get it done. He tries the inside through the whoops. This is a very interesting line. I don't think it's going to work, as Ray Kingsbury will lead us at the end of the first lap over Matt Lambert and Tristan Hagenstein. Turn 1. Matt tries the inside again, hits his brother nearly. And these guys having a hell of a battle for this transfer spot and even for the heat race win. And all three of them are within half a second. You see Hagenstein in the back of the shot there. He did get the car recovered, but he is struggling, 17 seconds behind. through the whoops again. I don't know why Matt's trying the inside. It's really not working. And Ray loves this because now he's falling into the clutches of Lambert in the 46. And Matt over the jump, a little bit squirrely there, and Lambert trying to take the fight to him. As we ride on board, car number 21. Last week's winner, Matt Kingsbury for Spark VR Last Lap Motorsports, his teammate. In the Spark VR LMT car, Brandon Lambert peeked to the inside there. We lost him on our camera shot, and Lambert nudges his team owner, pushes him out of the way, and they're side by side again through the whoops. As Kingsbury, Matt that is, terrible through the whoops, and it wasn't his fault. It's the car. They don't perform very well. Cross flags for Ray as we're battling for the transfer spot here in Arizona. And Kingsbury, Matt that is, into the wall and over in the 21. And last week's winner is turtled in turn 1, and he will not be able to make it through the heat race. So one driver that made it through a heat race last week, and one driver that didn't, the roles are swapped. So Matt will have to go to the LCQ, much like Magnus Okenhog had to last week. And Matt Kingsbury, after the win last week, obviously leads the Endurance Cup in 2020A. So we'll just have to wait and see if that's going to hurt his chances. 2 to go for Ray Kingsbury over Lambert, and Hagenstein way back, just getting past Kingsbury now, who is in pit lane. So we showed you a Subaru on board. Let's ride on board with Ray Kingsbury and show you this circuit. Rounding the final corner, it's going to be Ray Kingsbury winning heat number 3 here in Arizona, ahead of Lambert, Hagenstein, and Matt Kingsbury. So the 27 and 21 to the LCQ. So our final heat race here in Arizona, Philip Kraus, Matt Hartley, a couple of the drivers who will be in this heat race. As we await for everyone to grid. Travis Seymour in the 144 in his private Subaru. We await for defending champion Philip Kraus. In car number 1, we have Daniel Aish as well in the 33. So another 4-car race and 4 more Subarus will take part in this heat race. And Matt Hartley, points leader. The pressure is building for the Australian, as it's really only him and Okenhaug to fight for this championship. As no Jake Robertson once again. Because there's more than 16 cars, of course you won't get any points. So it was crucial for the British driver to show up for these endurance rounds, but he had that error with registering for last week's race, and this week he ran the World Championship qualifier, had a bad run there, and just chose to not run here in Wild Horse. As everyone was picking him to win the championship, but he's slowly losing all the ground that he built up with those 3 consecutive wins. Defending champion Philip Kraus, along with Hartley, will lead us down for heat number 4. Green flag over the jump. Hartley and Kraus into turn number 1. Hartley into Kraus, and around the defending champion goes in turn 1. Aish and Seymour side by side. Kraus recovers amazingly, getting very close, and it's like he never even spun. Seymour into Hartley. So the points leader back to 4th. Inside of Kraus now, over the jump. Kraus having issues. Seymour around, and Kraus gets hit again in car number 1. So the motorless motorsport cars now side by side through turn 4, and Daniel Aish will lead Matt Hartley, Travis Seymour, and Philip Kraus. Hartley to the inside of his teammate, these two battling. Remember, you do get bonus points by the heat race positions. 3 points for winning and 2 for a transfer, so you can guarantee that Hartley wants this point, because it has costed people championships in the past, and it's also won people championships in the past. Seymour in 3rd, and Kraus 4 seconds back now in car number 1. Through turn 4 once again. We'll take a look at the lines between these guys. Into turn number 1, you can have several different lines. Hartley's apexing very early to slide up out of the corner, but that's a slower line than what Aish was running. Turn 2, you want to park it right on that middle banner there to make sure you can get the drive off, at least in the Subaru. The Ford, likely the same. Turn 3, very slow. We know the motorless cars do basically run in 6th gear. You get better torque through that gear. We'll take a look. He's not shifted. So Hartley staying in 6th gear. Very courageous strategy for the Australian over his teammate. The gap is about half a second. And it is growing to Daniel Aish. Kraus got by Seymour for 3rd. We're going to come to 2 laps to go here in Arizona. And the gap growing. Philip Kraus getting more and more disgruntled in car number 1. 2 to go for the points leader. Holding the red plate, Daniel Aish after a week off in the 33. Hartley over the jump there, got a little squirrely between the 2 jumps. And the motorless motorsport car not having a good run there. Still 2.5 seconds ahead of his teammate. It's so hard to get these corners right because it's so slow, but yet it's a momentum-based track. Hartley takes the white flag in car number 48, and he is trying to make sure that Okenhaug does not get any advantage over car number 48, because he's going to match his points. So the points gap is going to be the same. Turn 2 for the final time. Seymour getting close to being lapped. Hartley into turn number 3. It's going to be an Aussie 1-2 here in heat number 4 as we get ready for the LCQ. And both the MRT cars once again are in the LCQ. Hartley and Aish transferred through the final. Kraus and Seymour to the consolation. Oh boy, is this going to be interesting, because clouds have rolled in here in Chandler, Arizona. And if I can count off the top of my head, I think we're going to have about 9 cars going for 2 spots. And I can tell you, this turn 1 is going to be nuts. Front row, Josh Mertz, Cohen Attard. Second row, Tristan Hagenstein, Philip Kraus. Third row, looks like Daniel McDonald, and we wait for the 3rd car on the outside. Then it's Matt Kingsbury, Travis Seymour, and Doug DeNice. This race, 4 laps, like every LCQ before it this season. B main, C main, LCQ, Constellation, they all mean the same thing, really. It's Dylan Livingood in the 3rd car on the outside row, by the way. So we do have 9 cars for 2 spots, 4 laps. And this is going to be crucial for any of these guys. Turn 1, crucial, because this track is so hard to pass on, so hard to get anything going. And I know I say it every week in the LCQ, but really it stands today. I know I've said that too. Grab your hard hats, because this is a bull ring. These endurance rounds, granted the start could be a little different. That might be changed for next season. We'll have to, of course, see, but these endurance rounds are bull rings, because they're all dirt, no asphalt. You don't have to worry about the track rubbering in so bad like the RallyCross tracks. Every track except for Hell, it's dirt over asphalt. So when you get through that dirt, it becomes grippier asphalt, and it's not the best to drive on. Pace truck is off. Mertz will lead us to the LCQ green flag. Cohen-Atardon's outside. 4 laps and 2 drivers make it through green flag. From high above into turn number 1, Mertz and Kingsbury sneaks to the inside, gets hit by Kraus over the jump exiting turn 1. Mertz leads Attard, who is side by side with Kingsbury, gets hit by McDonald. Kraus into the 131, sends him wide. McDonald into Hagenstein, and the MRT boys are 1-2 after turn 2. Kingsbury in 3rd. This is crucial for the Connecticut native, because if he does not make this final, I believe the Endurance Cup may go to Jacob Harberts. Remember, Harberts had a great run last week in Wild West. The MRT boys 1-2 in the LCQ. Kingsbury very upset with car number 1 as he kind of bowled his way through there in that Subaru WRX. Livingood in 4th, Seymour 5th, Denice in 6th. Attard, McDonald, Hagenstein. That's the remaining running order. That would be 11th through 17th. We'll have to see if Kingsbury can do anything about it. He's a second behind Kraus here. I don't think he has the pace over these 2 Subarus. 2 to go. His timing all over the place, wonky. Mertz leads ahead of Kraus, ahead of Kingsbury, Livingood, Seymour, Denice, Attard, McDonald, and Hagenstein. Into turn number 3. Both of these cars will get a bonus point if they can transfer through. And a much better start for car number 2 after embarrassingly crashing at the green flag in his heat race. White flag. So we're going to look from high above. That's the gap for Matt Kingsbury to make up, and I don't think that he'll be able to get it done. It's going to be very hard to get that done with 2 corners left to go. Final corner for the final time in the B main. It looks as though that the MRT drivers will be victorious, and they transfer through in the Constellation. Mertz and Kraus, 9th and 10th, and Matt Kingsbury out of the final here in Arizona. He will finish 11th, Livingood in 12th, Seymour in 13th, 14th for Denice, 15th Attard, 16th will be Daniel McDonald, getting the final point here in the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge this week. And Hagenstein comes home in 17th. So what we'll do really quickly is we'll take a look at that start between Kingsbury and Kraus, as there was a huge schmozzle. As we pull up those results here, let's take those away. Let's slow this down to a quarter of the speed. Kingsbury in his own zip code. That is legal. That's track limits. Is it fast? Absolutely not. But he certainly makes the slide job work. Slides up in front of Kraus in the 1. Car number 1's got nowhere to go but through the 21. Lifts up the back tires. And then we'll take a look with Kraus as we take a slower look. McDonald at that point already hit the 21 of Kingsbury. Kraus really wasn't going to make that corner, so he's into the 131. Hagenstein and McDonald come together. And then some parking lot in turn number 2. So we get ready for the feature race here in Chandler, Arizona. It's a LRL front row between John Dipple and Magnus Okenhaug. Then it's Ray Kingsbury and Matt Hartley, Jacob Harberts, Austin Derbyshire, Brandon Lambert, Daniel Aish, Josh Mertz, and Philip Kraus. So the MRT cars gridding 9th and 10th. Interesting to see that. 10 laps around this crazy track. And let me tell you, this is going to be absolutely amazing. Thank you for joining us in the Automotive Sports Network for round number 8. We get ready for the green flag in Arizona. Off the line, the LRL cars. Kraus will round off at Derbyshire and Lambert, and we put the 1. Contact with Hartley there with Kingsbury as Harberts and Aish into Lambert, and chaos ensues. Aish goes over the top of car number 1, and Lambert finds himself on the embankment there, and Magnus Okenhaug loves this. Dipple with Hartley as they battle, and Dipple gets stuck on the berm. Not a good day. As we take a look at our running order after 1 lap. Once it decides to update, of course. It's Okenhaug leading the way as our timing is broken there on the left-hand side of the screen. Hopefully that'll be fixed in just a couple moments. Kingsbury, Harberts, Mertz. Then it's Kraus. These two battling for the 2nd spot. And Harberts gets pushed out a little wide by car number 25. And the 80 runs the inside through turn 4 and will take lap number 3. Our timing finally, hopefully, will reset. There we go. Now it's resetting once Aish crosses the line. Mertz, Harberts, Kraus, Dipple, Lambert, Aish, Derbyshire into the wall, and he's stuck in the fence. And Hartley is off the track, and we must have missed that while we were focusing on Dipple, but the points leader out of the race. We'll have to take a look. Around is Dipple again. And this race getting very interesting, very spicy, whatever term you want. Magnus Okenhaug, 7 seconds nearly up the road from Philip Kraus, who was around in turn 1, not even turn 1, before the race even started. Harberts in 3rd. 4th is Kingsbury. 5th is Mertz. And Okenhaug absolutely loves this ahead of the rest of the field. Into turn number 3 goes Kraus, as our race leader 7 seconds up the road. Derbyshire in the pit lane. Hartley out of the pit lane. I think he's going to get by Derbyshire, so we'll put him up 1 position. As Harberts and Kraus battling. Kraus nearly goes over in car number 1. Remember, it's a little bit colder, a little bit grippier. Lambert in the 46. Dipple, Hartley, and Aish is off the road as well. Look at this side-by-side battle between Kraus and Harberts there. And at the front of our shot, Oakenhog off the road from the race lead. Will he be able to recover? He does. He's still in the race lead. It's half a second, but Kraus has the run on the outside out of the final corner. Swoops to the inside, and car number 1 from spinning on the grid to P1 for Kraus. As we take cross flags, I don't feel like this race is over at all. Oakenhog gets checked by car number 1 exiting turn 1 and into turn 2. Now we have a battle for the lead with Oakenhog trying the outside on Kraus. Harberts, Kingsbury, Mertz. That is the running order, 3rd through 5th. Oakenhog getting very aggressive with car number 1. Harberts peeks to the inside now as they're side by side, so the former race leader back to 3rd. This is getting good. 4 laps to go. Kraus and Harberts ahead of Oakenhog, Kingsbury, and Mertz. There's going to be so much to review after this race, as I think Harberts and Mertz came together on lap number 2. We might have missed that one as well. To the inside, Harberts goes on Kraus, trying the berm. 2 wheels is car number 80, but he saves it. We're going to take a look from high above at this hornet's nest. Kingsbury now peeks to the inside of Oakenhog. Can't get it done. 3 to go for Philip Kraus. Oakenhog nearly gives the bumper to the 80. And the top 5 are under a blanket, under 2 seconds. As remember, Lambert, Dipple, Hartley, Derbyshire, and Aish all had their own problems. It's Kingsbury over the 25! So the Connecticut native crashes out of the 4th position. Oakenhog trying so hard to run that inside line through turn 2, but it does not work. He cannot get the bite through the corner that he needs, and this is killing him inside as Mertz peeks to the inside now on car number 26, as the former champion and retiree in a couple weeks' time shows these guys he still has it. 2 to go for Kraus. It has finally calmed down here in Wild Horse in Arizona. Philip Kraus, Jacob Harberts, Magnus Oakenhog, Josh Mertz, Brandon Lambert. That's your top 5. We're going to have 1 lap to go to settle this, and Harberts is dangerously close. Harberts is stupid fast. We know this. Will there be a battle for the podium spot as well? Mertz has not gotten on the podium this season. White flag for his teammate. Half a second is the gap between Kraus and Harberts. It's a further 1.7 back to Oakenhog, and Mertz is there as well. Kraus gets a bump from Harberts. Exiting turn number 2. We certainly have had fireworks all day long. Harberts has 2 more shots. That's one of them, and he can't get it done. Through the whoops, final corner. Will Philip Kraus be able to snap his winless streak, and the defending champion off of the final corner wins in Arizona ahead of Jacob Harberts, and Oakenhog will pip the car number 2 for the podium place, but I don't think he cares at all. Mertz is in 4th as his team is resurrected, and the MRT boys celebrate. Lambert 5th, Kingsbury 6th, Dipple, Hartley, Derbyshire, and Aish. And what a race in Arizona. We'll take a look at the results fairly quickly, unofficial, remember. It's Kraus, Harberts, Oakenhog, your podium. Mertz, Lambert, Kingsbury, Dipple, Hartley, Derbyshire, and Aish. Take a look at the LCQ. Kingsbury in 11th, Livingood, Seymour, Denice, Attard, McDonald, and Hagenstein. Point standings. Exiting the Endurance Cup, we have a tie atop the points. Hartley and Oakenhog will co-own the red plate going into Phoenix in 1 week. Jake Robertson 21 points behind them, so the only way that Robertson can be back in this championship hunt to even tie up those guys is if they finish 17th and 18th or don't show up, and Robertson has a perfect race. But it's going to be very hard for the 22 to do so. Ray Kingsbury, John Dipple, Philip Kraus, Josh Mertz, Jacob Harberts, Matt Kingsbury, and Daniel Aish, the top 10. Let's take a look at what the hell happened on the start in turn 1 and basically every corner after that, as it was bizarre. It was bizarre. It was a wreck fest, whatever term you want to call it, really. But it certainly was a good one. As I'm going to take it in half speed just to show you everything that happened. I can't really describe, aside from crashing. As Derbyshire, Kraus, they both get turned around. So does Hartley, so does Dipple. Kingsbury. Harberts gets into, I believe that's Aish down there. Poor Derbyshire, completely out of the race at this point. Lambert gets turned. Kraus drives through Aish in the 33, and he drives completely under the Australian's car. As remember, Philip Kraus, not the happiest of people because of what's been going on the past couple of weeks. So we'll roll it a little bit forward as we do have what happened with Hartley. Oh, that's what happened with Hartley. Let's try and bring this up. I think it was the same lap. We're going to focus on car number 2 because he was involved with this further accident. And we'll take it from here. Matt Hartley, the red plate there on the left-hand side of your screen, misjumped it and thought he was a skateboarder. And off the road he went in the 48. And these three rather, battling very hard. This is lap number 3. And I believe we'll have this incident. This battle between Kingsbury and Mertz gets very good. We'll go ahead and play this. This is over the jump, beginning lap number 3. Side by side between the American and the German. We know these guys have history. We know that they race each other hard. Into turn 2. Car number 2 looks like he has it. Checks him out wide. Harberts gets a better run off the corner. Then they come together. And that's all she wrote there. So that is how Kraus got through to second place. The last thing that we're going to take a look at here is Okenhaug. We caught it right at the tail end there. But Okenhaug not having the greatest of days. We'll take a look. We'll ride on board car number 26. If we can find that feed here. There we go. So on board car number 26 into turn number 3. Runs the line normally. This is very odd because I think he had some wheel hop. And it kicks him out wide. So that pushes him wide. And that's all she wrote. So what a race. Here in Arizona. And we have 2 races left here in 2020A, and we hope you can join us for those remaining races at the Phoenix International Raceway and the Sonoma Raceway. Congratulations to Philip Kraus from our unofficial results. With all this craziness, there's sure stuff to be reviewed, but we'll let you know next week at Phoenix. From all of us at the Automotive Sports Network, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting all season long. Discord link in the bottom there. If you'd like to join, you could either be a spectator, driver, whatever you want. It does not matter. But like I said, crazy race. We got a second Arizona round. See you next week in Phoenix. But until then, so long, everyone.